This is the journey from scratch to success.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to From Scratch to Success, where I interview the most successful entrepreneurs about their journey. My name is Jayma, your host. Today, I've got an amazing guest. Shiva Negar is an actress, producer, and human rights advocate whose career spans film and television. She is best known for her breakout role as Annika in the long-scale action thriller American Assassin, as well as noticeable role in CBS's SEAL Team, Fox's The Cleaning Lady, and the award-winning drama Becoming Burlesque. Most recently, she stars in the comedy feature Wingman, showcase a lighter side of her range as a performer. Shiva has also earned recognition as a producer and storyteller, with her feature film Deadly Vows receiving multiple festival honors, including Best Actress win for her performance. Wow, what an amazing achievement, Shiva!
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you for
Thank,
having me.
of course, thank you for being here. So,
I'm glad we made it work with the time differences.
I know you're right now in LA, right?
I'm in Los Angeles.
Yeah, wonderful. Yeah, I'm in Sydney. So thank you again for making the time. So I want to ask you the origin story. How did it all start?
Of my acting career, you mean?
Yeah, just the original story. How did Shiva becoming Shiva and to this career?
You know, it was always in my heart. I mean, it's something I started since I was really young. I loved performing, and I would just put on acts of plays and stuff in parties and in Persian parties, even growing up in Iran before we migrated, like when I was like, ever since I was like 4 years old. I have my family, and my mom would say that I always like put on shows for them, and I would sing and, do a dance. And so I always had this performing arts in my blood in a way.
Mhm.
But, life has its own sort of path, and you have the destiny that you don't exactly know what's going to happen, and you don't know if you can pursue it. But I always wanted to pursue it. And we migrated a few times, because when we left Iran and then we went to Istanbul, Turkey, and then we were there for a few years. I started theater there.
Mhm.
And from a very young age in church, and I would do a lot of plays. And then when we left Turkey after 4.5 years, we went to Canada. And I'm Canadian, so I grew up in Canada for the most part, before I moved to the United States. And that's where my career really started. I was in a lot of school plays, obviously, like in high school and all throughout university. Even though I didn't major in performing arts, I wanted to, but it was, not a major that's very popular amongst Iranian families. Like they wanted you to be a doctor or, lawyer, engineer. And so
Yes.
I didn't pursue that. I studied psychology, but that applies to a lot of things. But throughout the whole time, I was always doing it on the side. So I was going to school. I had a job always, and I was doing acting on the side. And little by little, I was able to keep going and take away from other jobs, like my full-time job. Then it was a side job, and then I was able to fully just immerse myself in my acting career. But it took a lot of years, and it's something that I knew I always wanted to do, but I did a lot of backup plans per se, because I wasn't sure if it's gonna happen. You just never know, especially none of my family was in this field. So but I was always a performer, so I just didn't give up, to be honest. I didn't give up, and I just kept going, and I did what I had to do to survive, just so I can continue pursuing what I wanted to pursue. So, and the rest is history. Here we are.
Wow. That's really inspiring. So sounds like you had to move quite a few different places as well growing up.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you always wanted to be a performer, but what like inspired you? Would you say?
Aside from the fact that it was obviously it was in my blood since I was really young, and when you're that young and you're still figuring things out, you're not really sure why. You just see this passion and this fire, and you don't know why you're so drawn to this, and the pivotal moment for me was actually first year university. I walked through a set unintentionally, but I was just going to class, and they were shooting a movie. I can't remember what movie it was right now, but they were shooting a feature film, and it was like a big budget Hollywood feature film. And I walked right through the set, and there were some background extras that were there, and I was just so mesmerized. And I was doing theater at the time, but I was
Yes.
mesmerized by this set, by this film set, and I was like, wow, this is amazing. So I started questioning, and in between the cuts, like I stayed there. I didn't go to class. I skipped class that day, and I spoke to one of the guys who was one of the extras, and I'm like, what is this? How do I get into this? And I was asking him a whole bunch of questions. I ended up being one of the extras, just walking in the background, just because I was so interested in the whole thing. And I skipped class, and I just stayed the whole time they were filming. I was just being one of the extras, just working for free. But that was the day that I was like, you know what, I am so going to pursue this, full time, and not give up. I have no idea what your question was, because I was so taken by this.
No, you definitely answered the question. That's amazing. It's like the moment you were, walking by set, and you just enjoyed it so much. You skip class, but
Yeah. I said I have to do this, and I just kept doing it. So I took workshops, I took classes, I took acting classes. I got an agent, and I started going to all these auditions for smaller roles. Like I really worked my way up, but it was a lot to, especially back then. You really had to prove yourself, and no one really looked like me. There was a lot of there were no Persian actresses really. This is in Toronto when I started auditioning, so you didn't have that many. I can literally think of only one other girl who was Iranian, who I may have seen in the rooms. Back then there was no self-tape, so we were still going in the rooms. So it was a lot for me to prove myself, and to show them what I have to offer. And I took so many classes and workshops, and private coaching and everything. And I loved it. It was something that, and I was hoping that I could one day do it full time.
Wow. And was there any sort of early challenges or doubt that you had? You mentioned that there was only, not many people that looked like you, not many Iranians that's doing acting. Like, did you have any doubts or, and how did you overcome that?
Yeah, there was definitely, I mean, you just have to really have a thick skin, because you can't be offended by people, and people that may not know any better. Like things change, and we keep evolving as a society. But at that time, yeah, there were some casting directors that were not so sure, and they weren't really used to seeing people that look like me, and they didn't want to necessarily bring me in. And I don't hold that against anyone. I understand, because it wasn't in their experience, to and that has changed a lot. We've come a long way since then. I mean, we still have a long way to go, but it's definitely gotten so much better, so much more diverse now, in Hollywood and beyond, and European films and whatnot. But especially Canadian films, they're amazing, because they don't they cast you based on your performance and how you speak, your merit, your talent. They don't discriminate that, oh, maybe you look ethnic, for example. They're very open like that, and American too, and they don't discriminate. It's gotten much better, but I had to prove a lot of people wrong, and I had to just keep going, and I kept demanding and asking for better roles. And I said, please don't just keep giving me the pretty girl in the bar, or the hot girl in the club who has no lines, and she's just and I'm like, there's more to me. There's so many more layers to me. I'm an immigrant. I have a life story. I have so much depth that I can bring to the table, but it took a long time. It took a long time for people to come around. That was one obstacle. And another thing, obviously, was with my family, because my family was not used to having any artists I mean, my mom is an artist at heart, but like no one ever pursued the artistry or this field. So it took a lot for me to prove to my mom, for example, that I can do this and just trust me. And because my mom was like, okay, are you gonna go get a real job or at any time, or it's like, okay, this is nice, but when are you getting a real job now? Like, this is the job. You just trust me. So yeah, it took some
Yeah.
time. Yeah.
No, that's really funny because like obviously I'm Asian, so like that's what it's like. I feel like we can relate in terms of the family because they want you to be doctors or lawyers, so that kind of stuff, right? So
Oh yeah. Yeah, they think it's cute, like when I started auditioning a lot, like my mom's like, "Oh, that's cute," like that's so cute. You can do it on the side. And I'm like, and in my head at the beginning, I'm like, I'm so not gonna tell her right now, but this is not on the side thing. This is gonna be full time. But I mean, she was proud as soon as she saw like my first big movie, like when I did. I mean, I've done quite a few, but the American Assassin was like my sort of big breakout in the American and the Hollywood industry. And, and she was like, "Oh, that's my daughter. I am so proud."
oh, I love that. Yeah, no, that's amazing, and like I bet she's so proud of you now as well. Like just
I hope so. Yeah.
yeah. I'm sure she probably have you as a screensaver. I'm pretty sure.
Probably.
Yeah. Now, I want to ask you your first successful milestone. I'm sure there's a lot, but like, what's your first one, and how did it make you feel?
I think it was. See, I started off in Canada, and I did a lot in Toronto. There's, a lot, like a handful of casting directors, and you sort of become more familiar faster because you're going through a lot less people to be known for your work. And so I can't, like, I love what Canada, the chances that Toronto gave me, because I started my career there and I worked a lot there, and I still do. I still go back. A lot of stuff shoot there, but I guess the biggest thing was just less than a year after I moved from Toronto to Los Angeles. I ended up booking a lead role in the movie American Assassin, and that was a studio film. It was a collaboration with Lionsgate and CBS Films. Lorenzo Di Bonaventura was a producer on it, and Michael Cuesta, who was the director of Homeland, was directing it. And it was starring Dylan O'Brien, Michael Keaton, some amazing people, Taylor Kitsch, Al Lathan. Like, the cast was just brilliant, and for me, that was such an honor and such a fun project to work on. And I guess that was sort of my big breakout in the US, because I was very active in Canada, and I was more known in Canada at the time. But that was sort of my crossover where I got to, jump from the lake to the ocean in a way. And that was an amazing experience. And I was super grateful for that, because obviously we know how hard this business is. And, it's you keep going, but you really don't know what's going to come at you. So.
Wow. Yeah, it's like a marathon, right? Like, it's not a race. You just can't give up.
Non-stop. It's a marathon. You keep running,
Yeah, that's right. Was there any lessons that you learned like the hard way?
They're all been hard. It's more like, was there any lessons that I learned the easy way?
Was it?
Really? I mean, gosh, I really want an easy lesson. Like, give me something easy for God's sake. Yeah, I think the DNA of this business is hard, and sometimes, I think a lot of times something happens and you're like, okay, this is it. I've got it. It's kind of like when you're working in corporate world, you move up, and then like if you're like working in a bank and you become the CEO of the bank, then you're like, okay, I'm set,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
working my way up, I was a bank teller, then I became a manager, and now
yes,
so it doesn't work like that in our industry. Like one day you are the CEO, next day you're just a peasant.
That's it.
Just a pawn, so it's
That's
very
right.
up and down. And what I do love about it, though, it really keeps you humble.
Mm.
And you, while I appreciate all the different projects that come at you, but at the same time, you have to just ride the wave that comes, but you don't know where you're going to land, and you don't know when the next wave is going to come. So
Mm.
I think it's constantly challenging, and it feels like you're constantly climbing up a mountain, and you do get up there and you're just like, oh my God, I see the light, and this is such a beautiful view, and yes, I'm here, this is it. But then you literally you go down,
Yeah.
and then you go back up at the next mountain, so it's never plateaued in a way,
Mm.
constantly like this.
Yeah.
And so I think that's never ending, really, especially with everything that's going on right now. Like
Yeah.
ever since COVID, I mean, I was able to, I'm grateful that I was able to recover from COVID quite fast, but we had a strike, and the strike really
Yes.
changed the business, and
Mm.
we're still impacted by that. The strike that happened a couple years ago with the
Mm.
unions, SAG-AFTRA, and the WGA, which is the Writers Guild. These are the unions of the actors in the States and writers. And the AI, so the business is constantly changing. The studios are not creating and making as many studio films as before. There
Mm.
are a lot of independent companies. I've been doing a lot of independent films, and they're a lot of, they're like a love fest too. I mean, they're lower budget, so you work a lot harder and not be rewarded as much. But I'm very story driven, so I've been doing a lot of indies that are very impactful stories. So yeah, so it has not been easy. None of it has.
I love that. I love how real you are. Like, you're just like, no, there's no hard, like everything is hard.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not gonna sit here and lie and say, oh, I had it so easy. Nope, I did not. It's been quite challenging. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I love. Very inspiring. So what keeps you going?
Um, me, I one thing that really motivates me and just keeps me going is the stories that I want to tell.
Mm. Wow.
Obviously when you first start out, you don't really have that many options, and you're still figuring things out. So obviously when I was younger, I didn't exactly know my purpose. You're figuring it out as you go. As a teenager, all I knew was that I love this art so much, and I want to be able to pursue it no matter what.
Mm.
But as you keep walking in people's shoes and playing different characters and telling different stories, and you can really touch people's hearts this
Mm.
way. I love film, I love TV, I love this media for that very reason, because it's so realistic, and it's not like news, because it's literally a small window into someone's life that you would have not seen otherwise, and you can really create empathy. So, and that's my that's what keeps me going, and I always want to tell stories that people can watch, and whether it's hilarious and they're just getting a huge laugh out of it and it's entertainment, because at the end of the day, you're bringing laughs into people's homes, and laughter into people's homes, um, and that's a beautiful thing. Or if it's an inspired true crime story that is something that happened to literally a woman down the street, and we
Mm.
did a movie about it, otherwise people would not have known about it, so like these are all amazing, and I think there's so many human stories to tell for a lifetime, so that's what keeps me going, and I'm hoping that the challenge obviously is always finding the right team,
Mm.
funding, financing, finding the right director, producer, and for people, it takes a village, to tell stories like this. But I'm really hoping that I can, throughout my career, I can continue telling impactful stories and joyful stories, because I want to bring happiness and joy, whether that's through something like Wingman, that's like slapstick comedy, or based on true stories that touch people's hearts and raises awareness in a way.
I love that. I feel like story truly brings people together, through emotions and from different walks of lives. So,
Yeah.
yeah, very well said. Yeah. Do you have any routine or habits that drives your success?
Personal routines. I meditate a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I write, and I have I do exercise regularly, and I think that's very important. Honestly, it's like, for me, hiking is a huge thing, or just any kind of connection with nature is
Mm-hmm.
like my therapy. Um, and exercising, like any physical exercise and mental exercise, those two things, like, you need it. This reminds me of there was a stand-up comedy uh, that I went to a long time ago, and this guy, I think it was Jeremy Piven, who was the comedian that I went at the Laugh Factory, and he said something really funny, and he's like, sometimes you go to the gym in LA and all you see is just angry, frustrated actors, because it's literally therapy, like, we go through so much, and there's so much rejection in the business too,
Yes.
and you don't necessarily, if you're producing and telling your own stories, or if you're lucky enough to get roles that you want to tell the stories of, then great. But there are also a lot of things that you don't get to play because
Mm,
you don't have the control. As a performer, you don't have full control.
mm,
uh, and you and so, in order to be able to get over that frustration and that all these disappointments, I feel like you really need to take care of yourself physically and mentally. So for me, regular routine workout and meditation is a must. Otherwise, I will literally lose my mind.
I love that. I love that. um, so what does success mean to you?
It's different for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
I think, for me, if we're talking about career wise, I think, for a career, success for me is if I'm shining light on the world. I always see myself, I want to be the light no matter what. So if I am uh, bringing light and joy to anyone, or people, through the big screen, through their home screen, through storytelling, then I've done to me, that's success. If I can touch people's hearts and inspire them and motivate them to do something, whether it's a true story of victimhood, or a true story of people survival, and that inspires someone to take a stand and take action and do something for themselves, then I've really done my job. And if I've been able to just lighten someone's day and just bring joy and entertainment, so to me, the ultimate success is touching people's hearts and lives in a positive way. That's success to me.
I love that. When you came into the room, even though right now we are online, but like I can feel your aura and it's just so beautiful. Like you're not just beautiful on the outside, but yeah, you definitely have that light shining upon you. So
Right.
I feel very blessed that we're having this conversation. So
Thank
I just
you.
want
It's the sun. It's the sun.
no, you're definitely the light. Be like light, and you are. You are light.
Thank
Yes.
you. Thank you so much.
It's okay. So the next round, I'm going to ask you quick questions. So it's short answers. Are we ready?
Okay. Okay. I should have checked your stuff.
No, I love this.
Uh-oh.
I love
All
this.
right. Let me bring up the chat GPT here handy. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay, let's go. So a book or a movie that's changed your thinking.
Ooh. Uh, The Alchemist
Okay.
by Paulo Coelho. It's a book.
Mm-hmm. Best advice you've ever received?
Trust your intuition. It hasn't failed you yet.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
What's one thing you wish you've done differently?
Um, I don't. No regrets. Yeah.
Okay.
I think everything is happening for a reason, according to divine timing. So no regrets.
Okay. And if you were to lose everything tomorrow, what would be your first move?
You mean like physical stuff? Like, what do you mean lose everything?
Like, everything, like physical stuff, maybe job, like, what would be
Mm.
your,
I would start over again. Same thing.
okay.
I would do exactly what I've been doing.
Love that. Love that. Okay, so what's next for you? And maybe you would like to tell us more about Wingman as well, because I think that's the latest film that you were.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very different. So I'll tell you about two projects because they were sort of back to back within just a few months, and they're very different. So
Mhm.
I did a movie called Deadly Vows, and that was based on inspired by a true story of an Iranian American woman who was a victim of domestic violence, and that was a very heartfelt story that I knew I had to tell, and it was like an independent. And that just came out in November. And I'm very much known for a lot of drama and action from my resume and my body of work. And the last film I just did, Wingman, that was just released May 26th. It's a full on like old school slapstick comedy, like kind of like Austin Powers meets like Hitch. Like it's
Yeah.
very, very different genre. And I have not done like I've done sort of like dramedy or like little cute comedy or comedic moments in films, but or like Lifetime style rom com, But I've never done this kind of crazy, ridiculous slapstick comedy, and that was a lot of fun to shoot on set. And I worked with some hilarious, amazingly talented people. I mean, Harlan Williams is just awesome. I loved working with him. He was the writer, director, and the star of the film. And the film was produced by a friend of mine, Justin Levine, who's a producer in Toronto. And Jamie Kennedy and Russell Peters, like working with just a bunch of hilarious comedians was very different than what I'm used to. Like I was always used to like action, drama, crying on set, and scenes. And this one, I was trying to hold myself from laughing on every take, like I think Harlan was just telling me the other day that he had to cut something early because I started laughing in the middle of it because I couldn't keep myself. So very different energy on set, when you're doing comedy, and it's fun. It's a lot of fun. So it's out on now streaming on Amazon, Apple TV, and yeah. So if you just want to get some laughter in and just watch something hilarious, that's the movie for you. And it's definitely, some of my fans were not expecting that. Like especially my character has like an arc because she goes from like being super like ladylike proper to like super crazy by the end of it. I'm not going to give that more away, but it was very unexpected, but it was a lot of fun shooting it. So
Yeah. No, I did. I went to the Australian screening here, and I guess that's how I reached out to you because you were so funny, and yeah, I definitely recommend everybody to go and see it because it's such a good laugh, and it's like that old comedy kind of like that's really cool. The vibe, I love it.
Yeah, just light felt.
Yeah.
There's a light feeling to it, and you can just relax and give a mental break to yourself, from all the craziness that's going on in the world, and just laugh and have fun and enjoy the film. Yeah, and there's no wrong. I mean, Harlan Williams he's full of jokes, so he's
Yes, yeah. Shout out to him, huh, Harlan?
yeah. Shout out to him. He's hilarious. This is totally him. Like it was all his vision, his ideas. So.
I love that. So, what about your future projects, goals, and dreams?
So I'm right now working on a few projects. The only one that I can mention is actually another sort of comedy or like a rom-com.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and it's called the Cupid Index, and it's basically about a Persian and Iranian American family, and the daughter who is sort of being forced to get married because she's getting to that age where she needs to get married, and she's getting the pressure from the traditional family, and and it's hilarious, and it touches up on a lot of the taboos of our culture, so that's in development right now, and it's in pre-production. And there is another based on a true story that I can't talk about yet, but it's a very heartfelt based on a true story that I'm working on, that I'm passionate to tell. It will be a feature film, not comedy. That one will be drama for sure. But yeah, and I have a production company, so what I'm trying to do is also produce. That way, I can also tell the stories that I want to tell, because it gives you a little more creative control. So aside from working on projects that come to you, you can also create your own. So
Wow, that's very, very inspiring there. Yeah.
yeah.
So, advice for somebody that's watching, and if they've got a dream or if they've got something they want to do, but they just haven't started, what would you tell them?
It doesn't matter where you are. Just go for it. Like you just have to do. And there are so many. Even there's more at your hands right now than when I started. Like there was nothing, and not even Instagram when I started, or there were no AI. So right now it's so easy to just shoot stuff with your phone, and social media is amazing, YouTube is amazing, and you can use all those as tools for yourself. So if it's acting, and you can really showcase your talent through so many platforms now that didn't exist when I started, or at least they weren't as popular as they are now. And I mean, look at the movie that just came out, Obsession, with a young director who didn't go through the studio, and I believe he said, don't quote me on this, but I believe he said he put his film on YouTube. But so there are so many sources and platforms that you can utilize these days. So don't wait for something to come to you. Just be proactive is my advice, and just go for it. I have my nephew right now just wrote a pilot because he enjoys this business, this filmmaking, and he just wrote a pilot, and he directed it and starred in an episode, and he wants to create more. And you can just put these on YouTube, and you just don't know what's going to happen. So that's my advice. Just go for it.
Love that. Just go for it. Yeah. Now, before we finish up, was there anything that you'd like to tell us? Anything else?
I want to say I love your energy, and I'm really glad to have met you. So thank you for having me on your show. But I just keep inspiring. And human connection is a beautiful thing. So I always say, no matter what's going on around us, humanity first, always. I think creating empathy and that human connection is very important, and I think we should continue to do so. And I will always do that, and you can always follow what I do through my platform on Instagram too. So it's at the Shiva Negar, so my full name with the in front of it, and I will make all the announcements and everything there as well. So yeah.
I love that. So viewers can get in touch with you by Instagram. They can follow you on social media. Yes. Yeah.
Yes. I always update everything, like the next story I'm gonna tell. I do a lot of advocacy as well for for Iran, and for things that are unfortunately happening around us right now. So I am very vocal about that. If anyone is interested, I always give updates about what's going on with the Middle East and all that as well. But yeah, I definitely do all the announcements with my work and my upcoming projects and everything on my social media. So and people can get in touch there. For sure.
Great. Well, thank you so much for being on the show. And so, guys, I hope you are as inspired as me. Please make sure you continue to follow our media and watch the next episode of From Scratch to Success. Until next time, God bless you, and I'll see you soon.